Hey there guys, how's it going? Alex here, back again today for another video, and yeah, I just wanted to get on camera today and kind of shoot a post-Christmas edition vinyl update kind of thing for you guys, because I managed to pick up a few LPs over the last few days in the kind of post-Christmas period, and also got given some nice kind of music-related presents on Christmas Day and on Boxing Day by my family, so I thought it would be nice, and I thought I had enough stuff to come on here and yeah, kind of do a vinyl update Christmas edition, I guess. So I hope you guys in the VC all had a great Christmas. I had an amazing one here. We always have a pretty good Christmas, and I really enjoyed spending time with the family, and it's rare that people come together like that. I know Christmas is, different for different people, but it's it seems to be a common thing for families to come together and just kind of reunite in a way, because so much of the year you don't, well, certainly in my case, I don't get to see, the people that I saw over the last few days. So it's nice, just to have that time with them and to be able to share things. And you always have stuff to talk about because, as I say, often you don't get to see them at, many other points in the year. So yeah, I hope you guys had, a great Christmas, and I hope you managed to get some, some records as presents and money to go out and spend on vinyl. I haven't managed to watch many videos yet, VC videos kind of after Christmas, but I'm going to try and get around to doing that tonight. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and show you guys the first of all the LPs that I picked up. I went shopping in a city called Cambridge, which is about a 3-hour drive from where I live now here. And I went there, and it was quite a weird day actually. I got up at like 5 a.m., which is something I never ever do. I got up really early because I couldn't sleep. And I walked into town, and it's a kind of a strange thing because I didn't know the city at all. So I walked into town, really early, and nothing was open, nobody was out, obviously at 5 a.m. and just spent some time in town exploring the city. It's a historic kind of university city like Oxford is, which is the city that I normally live in when I'm at uni. And yeah, I just kind of waited for the sun to rise, watched the sunrise, which was nice. And then I kind of stumbled into this market and saw that this guy called Pete, I think his name was selling tons and tons of vinyl. He had so many crates of vinyl, of records, and I think his 45, his 7-inch collection was actually bigger than his LP collection. The stuff that he was selling, but he had, so many records, and it took me a good hour to go through them all and, kind of pick out some of the ones that I wanted. And he had a good deal on, I think it was 3 for £10 on some of the records. And then he had some, some higher priced stuff and also some new records, which was cool as well. But I only picked up 4. I could have picked up more, but I want to kind of save my money and maybe do some online shopping for vinyl, and I've got other stuff to buy. So yeah, picked up 4 records at that market, which is really cool. And also I have a record to show from Christmas Day that my mum gave to me. So I'm going to get around to showing those in just a second. But first of all, I wanted to show you guys some other kind of music-related gifts that I got given on Christmas Day. And my family now, by now they already know that I'm heavily into music and vinyl. So they kind of buy appropriately, I guess. And they didn't buy me a whole ton of vinyl. My mum bought me 1 record, but it's a pretty special one. But along with that record, my mum and my brother managed to get me a few music-related items. So I wanted to go through these to start off with. First of all, I got a book from my brother called All the Mad Men, and this is, as you can see there, it's kind of listing British musicians: Syd Barrett, David Bowie, Drake, Pink Floyd, The Kinks, The Who, and then it says, and a journey to the dark side of British rock. And not too sure what this is all about, but obviously by the title it's kind of detailing and telling the story of the dark side of rock and roll, obviously the drugs, the fame, and what that can do to musicians, and especially what it did do to musicians back in the the kind of heyday of all these rock legends. And I know a little bit about the history of rock and what's happened to various people. Brian Jones died of a overdose, I think. Jimi Hendrix died of drug related, I think it was red wine or something. And Syd Barrett obviously went pretty crazy. And all this stuff happened to all of these people because of the fame and the drugs and the lifestyle that they were constantly wrapped up in, I guess. And I'm looking forward to reading this. I haven't actually started it yet, but I'm hoping it kind of goes down that road, telling the kind of a bit more of a detailed story about some of these people. And it's written by Clinton Halen, which is really cool because he's one of my favorite Dylan biographers. He's actually, I think, probably the leading Dylan biographer. He's written loads of books on Bob Dylan. So I've read quite a bit of his stuff, and I really like his writing style. It's very easy to understand, and his research is always just, absolutely incredible. So yeah, looking forward to reading this, which was a cool gift. Then my brother also got me a CD, which is really cool. I'm kind of collecting the Pink Floyd's remasters, which came out, I think, in 2011 or 2012. 2011, actually, I think it says here on the back. And this, of course, is The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which came out in 1967 when, of course, Syd Barrett was still in the band. And I think he got me this because he's getting into Pink Floyd pretty heavily. He's always been into Dark Side of the Moon and what's the one after that? Wish You Were Here, of course. And he likes the early stuff with Syd Barrett. He always borrows my Syd Barrett introductory to Syd Barrett LP, sorry, and plays that constantly. So yeah, he got me another Pink Floyd remaster from 2011, and these are amazing. They did a great job on the remastering of these. So I'm looking forward to playing this when I get back to uni. And finally, my mum just got me this DVD. It's nothing really very special, but Who Shot John Lennon, and basically a DVD all about David Chapman, the guy that actually ended up shooting John Lennon in 1980. But also it kind of goes back into the past and before the shooting, goes back into the history of the Beatles and kind of John Lennon's involvement in his political stance and how he was heavily on the radar of the FBI and all this kind of controversial stuff that you hear about John Lennon after the Beatles, I guess. So yeah, I watched this the other day with my brother, and it's pretty good. It was reasonably well done. I don't think they had the licensing to play any official Beatles music or anything, but it was cool to watch. So yeah, those are 3 kind of music related presents I got given, which was really nice. And I guess next I'll show the other thing that I got on Christmas Day, which was the LP. And this was pretty special. I was not expecting any vinyl from my mum, because even though she knows that I'm heavily into vinyl, she knows that I like vinyl, she doesn't really know what road to go down when it comes to buying specific records, I guess. So I was surprised that she managed to get this for me. I'm surprised that she knew I was into this band. And yeah, I was stoked, so stoked to get this. She got me the Yes, one of the Yes albums. I think this is from 1973 or maybe 74. But this is really cool. I think it's like a compilation album. It's a 3 LP set. And what's really cool about this is it's a great way of... it was a great way for Yes to kind of compile all of their artwork and put it together in one kind of 3 LP set, which this is. And as you can see, just flicking through this, it's kind of like a book in the way that it folds out. It's not like a trifold or a quadruple fold or a gatefold. It kind of goes through in a kind of book-like way, I guess. And you have all these gatefold pieces of artwork that were done for the Yes albums, I guess, back in the early and mid-70s. And yeah, just an amazing set. It's a 3 LP, I think, compilation of their early work. It's called Yes Songs, and as I say, I think it came out in 1973 or 74, sometime around that time. I think after Close to the Edge, and yeah, between Close to the Edge and their next album. It could just be another studio album. I don't know a tremendous amount about this. I haven't managed to do much research on it yet. and obviously haven't had a chance to play it through because my turntable and stuff is back at university. But yeah, just so cool that my mum managed to pick this up for me. She was telling me all about how she used to be into Yes back in the 70s and 80s, and telling me about all the records she used to listen to from them. So it was just so cool that she picked this up for me, and she did tell me that I think the guy that sold it to her told her that it was a first pressing. So if that's the case, then that's obviously even cooler. To get a first pressing of a 70s record is pretty cool. But it's definitely an original. So yeah, that's Yes and Yes songs, which was probably the coolest gift that I got on Christmas. Actually, I was so happy to get that. So those were all of the presents that I got given on Christmas Day, all of the music-related presents that I got given. So now I'm going to move into the 4 LPs, which I picked up in Cambridge, as I say, a couple of days ago. And this guy was really cool. He was kind of having a Christmas sale on, and as I say, he had a 3 for £10 deal on certain records, and they had some great stuff in there that I didn't end up picking up. They had a lot of Paul McCartney albums, which I was tempted by, because I've recently been getting into McCartney a bit more. I listened to his new album the other day, called New, and enjoyed that. I think it was definitely a hit and miss project. There were some songs which I thought, what the hell is he doing here? Other songs where it was kind of like, yeah, this is cool. I can vibe with this. So he had a lot of kind of Paul McCartney solo albums from the 70s and 80s in pretty good condition. I was tempted to pick those up, 3 for a tenner, but they weren't pristine condition, and some of them had water damage and stuff like that. So I thought I'll leave it for now. I know I'll end up picking these LPs up sometime, so wasn't the end of the world. But I picked up 3 other LPs for a tenner, and I'm going to go through those first, and then I paid a little bit more for one of these. But first off, we have Ringo, obviously Ringo Starr's self-titled album from 1973, and I don't really pretend to know a whole lot about Ringo Starr's solo career. Obviously after the Beatles, he was obviously only the drummer. I mean, he was a tremendously important part of the Beatles, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you can't really compare Ringo's solo stuff to, say, Paul McCartney's or John Lennon's, because those guys were kind of born songwriters, and they'd grown up with the Beatles writing all the songs. And Ringo had, I think, 1 or 2 songs on every one of the Beatles albums, and I don't think he ever wrote. He might have written a few songs for them, but he didn't write anything kind of revolutionary for the Beatles. So yeah, it's hard to kind of put Ringo's solo work into context, but I've heard that this is probably his best album that he ever put out, solo-wise. Came out in 73, obviously 3 years after the split up of the Beatles. And I'm looking forward to playing this through. It says up here X, which I'm guessing is excellent condition. And it certainly looks that way from looking at the sleeve. We've got the gatefold with a really nice booklet in here. I didn't realise this was in here until I got back and had a look. But it's got some of the artwork. Not sure who did these drawings, but some really nice sketches in there with the lyrics on the other side of the page. So yeah, you get a booklet with it. It's a gatefold, only 1 LP, but really good condition. So I was so happy to get this. Obviously 3 for a tenner. I thought it's £3, £3.30 each. So I thought it was a pretty good deal, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Ringo did on that album. Now, the remaining 3 finds are all Bob Dylan finds, and these first 2 were part of the 3 for £10 deal. First of all, I managed to pick up a copy of Shot of Love from 1981. One of the albums that I know least about in regards to Dylan. I've never actually heard this album all the way through. I've heard most of it, I think, but I haven't heard the last couple of tracks. And of course, I think this was the last, was either the last or the second to last album in his kind of religious Born Again trilogy that he put out running from 79 with Slow Train Coming and Saved, and then this, Shot of Love, in 1981. And it was when Dylan was going through a very, very controversial and kind of strange time, putting out these very devout and, just purely religious records with a lot of kind of gospel influence. And, it was a strange time for him. He was going through, obviously, a lot of personal changes. He was starting to obviously become this born-again Christian, which I guess he still is today. And it was a funny time. A lot of people were pissed off with him, I guess, considering it kind of contradicted a lot of the stuff that he did in his early days. And, the fact that he'd always, been kind of ambiguous in regards to religion. And yeah, this was just completely off on one end, I guess, just so extreme in terms of content that a lot of people just didn't really understand it. But it's got some great tracks on here. Probably the most recognizable one is Every Grain of Sand, which is an amazing track. But, this didn't really receive the greatest reception when it came out in 81. A lot of music reviewers just shot this down immediately. But I'm looking forward to hearing it all the way through on vinyl, and yeah, I just thought it was worth picking up. So that's the first Dylan find. Second one here is actually a 12-inch single, which I believe came out in about 1987, and this one is Bob Dylan, Is Your Love in Vain, which I think was a song from Street Legal. Definitely a song from Street Legal, because it's got a kind of stamp there on the back of the Street Legal album. And Street Legal came out in 1978, so I guess this one came out around the same time. And yeah, I picked this up because it was a limited edition special 12-inch single, so I thought, maybe it has some value as a record. And also, I'm a big fan of the song, Is Your Love in Vain. And the B-side is We Better Talk This Over, which is another track from Street Legal. So I thought, why not? I'll pick it up, see what it's like. And very good condition again. The record is very, very clean on CBS. So yeah, very happy to get this. Again, 10-inch single, 3 for a tenner. So that was the last one in the 3 for £10 deal. And this last one here, I kind of splashed out a little bit, but it wasn't too much of an investment. I picked this up for, I thought, a pretty good price. He, as I say, he had the huge, collection of 3 for £10 records. Then he had kind of 3 or 4 crates set aside of more expensive priced items, and I think it was 25% off all of the rest. So all of the priced items were 25% off. So I managed to pick this up for £9. And again, it's Bob Dylan, one of my favourite records of his, John Wesley Harding from 1967. And I picked this up. He had a few copies of this in the crate. I think he had 3 or 4 copies of this. And I picked this one up partly because it was in the best condition. The record is pretty clean by the looks of it. Obviously, I can't tell completely until I get it on the turntable, but yeah, it seemed pretty nice to me. And it's on Columbia, the Columbia label, the red Columbia label. It's a stereo pressing, which is obviously not an original first pressing, because the original was a mono. It was Dylan's last mono album that he put out in mono before stereo came in and took over. But yeah, it's a Canadian pressing, which I thought was interesting. It says American on the front, but after going onto Discogs, I discovered that this was a Canadian pressing from 1968. And yeah, I'm just a massive fan of this record. I have been for some time now, and I've been looking for a nice copy on vinyl, and finally came across a really nice one. So I snapped it up for £9. So yeah, that's all of my finds. I thought I got some pretty decent stuff. The good thing about, the 3 for £10 deal and getting those records cheap was that I still have some money to go out and hopefully spend on, some more records that take my fancy. I've also got a £15 Amazon gift card that I'm looking to spend on vinyl. So yeah, I should have some more records to show over the next couple of weeks, I'm hoping. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll make another vinyl update. But for now, that's all I have to show in this video. I'm looking forward to seeing some more videos tonight. I'm gonna try and watch as many as I can of the videos people have made after Christmas, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, I'm looking to put my top 25 albums of 2013 list together. I've got about 9 albums to write a kind of paragraph on. So I'm going to put that up on my blog, hopefully get that done tonight. So go over and check that out if you want to find out a bit more about my favourite albums of this year. Obviously we're only a couple of days now, well, a day in fact, away from 2014, and I'm pretty excited about, everything that's going to happen, and it's going to be a big year. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.